All right, everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the College Format Podcast, a little side piece of the actual All Formats podcast where we talk about strictly college football. And today we are going to be recapping all the games that went on this past Saturday, Sunday, and a couple Thursday and Friday games, a whole bunch of football this weekend. But a lot of good things happened, a lot of bad things happened, a lot of surprises happened, and we're going to be talking about them today. But as you can see, it's just me to start it off. Um, you're going to be getting Joe and David's part kind of right after this, but I'm going to be able to talk on my own, and then we're going to cut to David and Joe giving their professional takes on what happened over the weekend in college football. But thanks for tuning in. As you can see, we're on YouTube. You can see our faces, and then you can also see this week's jersey hanging up in the box. Kayshon Boutte, formerly number 1, now he wears number 7 for LSU, and we're going to be talking about him a little bit later. Kid had an interesting football game on Sunday night. But for this podcast, we're going to be talking about what impressed us over the week and some players that we really like, we thought had really good games. We're going to go on to talk about what didn't impress us over this last week. And we're going to talk about some of those, and also we'll be talking about what surprised us, kind of something that kind of came out of nowhere we weren't really expecting. So we'll be talking about that a little bit too. So first off, I'm going to be talking about what impressed me for week 1 of college football. And we had to start out with Penn State. Penn State had a pretty good win against Purdue. Thought we were going to be throwing that away towards the end of the game, but Sean Clifford came in strong for us and decided not to throw this one away. But fantasy-wise, I think Mitchell Tinsley is a football player. The guy is like a natural wide receiver. He's obviously the number 1 target for Sean Clifford in that offense. I'm a fan of Parker Washington, but it looks like he's just considered the slot guy there. Mitchell Tinsley's the obvious number 1, so I like him a lot. He looked really good. Kid looks like he can play some football. I'm really happy with him. Sean Clifford. He's up and down. He pisses you off, and then he's, he gave us a game-winning drive towards the end of the game. I'm sick of giving this guy excuses. At this point, if he does anything good, it's just making up for all the bad he's done the past couple of years. But I was pretty happy with Mitchell Tinsley. Nick Singleton only got a couple carries. That offensive line there, Penn State's not really that good. So he's going to have a tough year. Hopefully he can bounce some towards the outside and just make some plays, but it's going to be a tough one for any of those running backs there. But moving on, so another guy that impressed me was Luther Burden for Missouri. I was kind of questioning seeing how much work he would get for Missouri right away, being a freshman on that team. And it looks like he's definitely going to have a part in that offense. I think he ran in 2 touchdowns. He's got another couple catches in there as well, and he looks really good. I'm really impressed with him. He's only going to get better. So tune in to Missouri, see that kid Luther Burden play a little bit. Another good game from Mo Ibrahim. Kid come off the Achilles injury, whole year off basically last year, and then kind of breaking that stigma for this Achilles injury. Kid had a really good game. I think he had 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards. Hopefully he can stick with it. I'm a little questioning. I think NFL teams are not going to really like his injury history and the type of player he is. I believe he's a redshirt junior or a straight senior. I think he's definitely in his 4th year, so he's a little bit older. But I like Mo Ibrahim a little bit as like a late round guy. Probably not going to go early in the NFL draft, but you can probably get him late in your rookie drafts. But Michigan looked really good. And like we kind of expected, they're going to feature both those running backs, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, and they both look pretty good. I think Corum had a touchdown or 2. He does look small, but he does look really good. Donovan Edwards is a player too. He's going to be really good this year and definitely next year for your 24 drafts. But I like both those running backs there. Michigan, the Cade McNamara, I don't think the kid's it. He had an okay game, but I don't know if J.J. McCarthy's it either. It's a big question there. But we'll kind of see how the season goes on. Texas A&M looked I think their game got delayed a while, but Aina Smith, I think the kid's pretty good. I think I said in the last podcast that he reminds me of a kick returner, punt returner, but this kid just keeps making plays. I think he had another long touchdown, 60-yarder or something like that. And it looks like they're going to actually utilize him as a wide receiver this year and not just as like a running back, scat back type. So I think he's gonna be kind of like a Calvin Austin maybe for your rookie picks coming up. I would just tune in, see where he goes in the NFL. That would be kind of what determines if I like him or not. But the kid's a ball player in college, but he might just be only a college player. We'll see. And UNC, got to talk about this a little bit. It was my pick of the week for our little fantasy group chat that we have. Money line straight up against Appalachian State. But this Drake May is a player. This Drake May is a dude. 24 QB. In that 24 class, you're basically looking at Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers, and then it's Drake May. They're all right there for me, and this kid can play. He can play a lot. Big dude, kind of lanky, but he can run, and he's a gunslinger too. I like the way he holds the ball. He commands that offense. He's basically the only reason UNC won that game. That defense is horrendous. So if you think about placing a UNC bet, I like the over. That defense is pretty bad. That offense is really good. It's pretty good combination for points right there. I really like George Pettaway, the freshman running back. He looked really good. Paysour, the wide receiver, looked really good. He had a touchdown catch towards the end. That offense is going to be explosive. I really like Drake May. I'm excited for that 24 class. But moving on here. So Georgia to me looks like the team to beat. They smoked Oregon. Bo Nix is awful. But Georgia looked really good. I'm a little worried. Kendall Milton looked okay. I guess he had the touchdown run, but he looks a little slow to me. I don't know. I'm excited to see them play a lot of more SEC defenses to see how they kind of work that. But it's obvious that they're doing the Zamir White with Kendall Milton and the James Cook and the Kenny McIntosh, because Kenny McIntosh had a game. Kid had like 6 catches, 100 yards, touchdown. He looked really good. He's definitely going to be the pass catcher on offense, and he actually really impressed me watching that Georgia game. I said in my write-up for this year that McIntosh needed to show me something this season for me to get excited about him in this 23 class, and through week 1, he definitely showed me that he can be a pass catcher for that Georgia offense, and I bet you NFL teams are going to like that a lot more than they might like that Kendall Milton kid. Hopefully he has some pretty good games coming up here, but Ole Miss. Zach Evans, I think, is really good. I think he showed you that he is just a smooth running back, and I think he was basically the entire Ole Miss offense for that game against who they even played, Troy or something like that. But they should have stomped them. It was a lot closer than you expected, but I think he had a really good game. He had like 20 or so carries, over 100 yards, didn't have a touchdown, but the kid just looks smooth. He's really good in the run game, those outside zones. He always just gets 8 to 10 yards. Just as kind of the player he is. And is it Jake Dart? Jackson Dart for Ole Miss didn't really show me much. He was kind of sporadic. You can definitely tell he's a smaller guy, and he plays like he's a smaller guy. I didn't really see much out of him, but the other running back for Ole Miss, Judkins, looked really nice as well. They're going to be 2 pretty good complementary backs there for Mississippi, so they looked really good. USC looked really good. Caleb Williams can play. He's another guy in the 24 class that's really good. And Jordan Addison had 2 short touchdowns. He had like 5 catches for like 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I really like him coming in this 23 class. I think he's kind of going under the radar as one of those top wide receivers. And for me, I think he should be talked about a little bit more. I know he's skinny. I know people don't like those skinny types, but I think Devontae Smith shows that these skinny guys can play in the NFL. So I'm excited to see Jordan Addison this season. Hopefully they're going to be playing better teams than what they did this week. I don't even know who they played. Who cares? Rice, I think it was. But Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn had another pretty good game. The kid is Darren Sproles reincarnated, but he plays in college. I don't think it's going to transfer to the NFL, but he had another good game in college, so I think we kind of got to talk about him a little bit more. Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, kid's a beast. He's another 24 guy. This 24 class looks like it's going to be really good. So if you missed out on these 23 first, I'd start looking towards 24, trying to stock them up, because that draft class is going to be another good one, I think. But Braylon Allen for Wisconsin looks like a beast. The Utah-Florida game, we'll talk about Utah here quick. Brent Kuthi, I think is how they're pronouncing it during the game. But He's a wide receiver playing tight end. He looked really good, really smooth in the pass game. Tavion Thomas looks like a tough running back. I don't know if he'll transfer to the NFL, but he looks like he's a tough college back, and he's a hard guy to tackle. So I like that they give him a lot of touches. I think that kind of be his role in the NFL as like that power goal line back. So I think he's got a chance. But Florida, baby, Anthony Richardson. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This guy is a player. The play he had against Utah for that 2-point conversion. The kid's a ball player. Just enjoy it, I would say. He's exciting to watch. He's everything you hope for. That we were kind of hoping to come into the season, what he kind of showed us for that first week. And I don't want to overreact and say he's my top wide QB for the class because it's tough to say, but I think if Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are 1A, 1B, this guy has to be 1C in your rankings. I think he's just right there, and he's only going to go up from here, I think, unless he, God forbid, some kind of injury or anything like that. But Anthony Richardson's a player. I really like him a lot. And then Ohio State and Notre Dame. That was a very interesting game. Ohio State looked kind of slow. Their offense definitely wasn't ready for Notre Dame. CJ Stroud didn't really have a great game, but who did was, I thought, Emeka Ukbuka. He was kind of the slot wide receiver there for them, and you can tell that their offense was kind of utilizing the short passing game rather than the deep pass game as they usually do. I think Notre Dame ended up playing a lot of too high safety, so they weren't allowing CJ Stroud to throw down the field, and I think that really threw him off for that game. But and Mecca Egbuka had a really good game. Marvin Harrison is a ball player. The kid's really good. He only had a couple catches in that game, but he flashed. Travion Henderson's really good. The only question I had for him was, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but he looks like they're snap counting him, or they're doing some kind of committee there. They're trying not to give him too many touches, but in the touches he did get, he looked really good. Mississippi State, Will Rogers had a big game. Mississippi State throws the ball 50 times a game no matter what the score is, and Will Rogers is always going to have big-time stats, but he looked really good. Syracuse, Sean Tucker, 23 running back class is really good. Sean Tucker had another big game. I'm sure you saw, if you tune in to Twitter, he had a nice little reception, probably 40-yarder, took it to the hash. But the kid can play. I really like him a lot. He's the only downside for him is that he plays for Syracuse. If he was doing any of this in like the Big Ten or the SEC, the kid would be up there with Jamir Gibbs, I think, for like number 2 running back in this class. But the kid's really good. And for Stanford, Tanner McKee looked pretty good. A lot of people are talking about him as a chance to kind of rise up these boards for the 23 class, but I don't know if I'm in on that. For Texas, Bijan had another good game. Turns out the kid's still pretty good at football. It's gonna be tough in any format not to take him 1-1 in your rookie drafts, because he's definitely gonna go in the first round. He's gonna see a lot of touches, but yeah, turns out Bijan's still pretty good. And is Florida State a football team? We'll talk about it here next. They showed me that they can play. Their QB they got there is elusive, but is LSU bad? I don't know. But so that's all the things that impressed me. We're gonna tune in here to see what Joe and David were impressed with there in week 1. But over to you guys.
Tavion Robinson from Kentucky. I'm just gonna go name a few names. Just rumble off some names here. Tavion Robinson, the transfer from Virginia Tech to Kentucky, he looked really good. Barry and Brown, Dane Key, they both true freshmen at Kentucky, both look good. I think Brown had the return touchdown. Key had the reception touchdown, and I liked them. Bama, what you can't say much. I know that's a bad opponent, but Bryce Young was impressive. And man, they just look at all their talent. Everybody's talking about all their wide receivers this year, talking about all the freshmen. Kobe Prentice, right? Freshman. Kobe Prentice, no one was talking about it. I'm mad I didn't try to draft him. I listened to everybody that said they didn't like him. He was the 4th one coming in. He comes in and gets all kinds of targets. He definitely looks like a very good freshman wide receiver that's going to be the next in line in Alabama. Everybody talk about Ja'Cory Brooks. He barely got any play. So that may be another surprise as well. Trayshawn Holden, I want to say caught 3 touchdowns. Jermaine Burton, another one of my calls on the 23 mock that everybody's jumping on. And I think I was asked a question by our host here, Joe. What is it about Burton? Because he transferred from Georgia. I hope you watch because that's what it is about Burton. Okay, 3 touchdowns right there, and he'll be a first round pick. So we'll go through. So Jamir Gibbs was hey, Jamir Gibbs is what he was. A guy that kind of that I also liked, Chase McClellan. I don't know what he's going to get there at Alabama because of all the running backs they have, but man, go watch his film from this past week. He's got the NFL running back size. And he kind of, I know it was on mop-up duties, but he caught the ball pretty well. I liked him. I like Corey Kiner in Cincinnati. Arkansas, Trey Knox, the tight end Trey Knox was impressive. And I know Junior's listed these two, but I can't. Amari Hampton and George Pettaway from North Carolina, and Drake London, Mason Taylor.
Drake May.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Drake London. I love him. Got too many shares on my team. He's on my mind. My bad, guys. Drake May from North Carolina. Him and JJ. Make sure you watch JJ McCarthy this week. This is another one I'm calling here. Hot take right here on the pod.
I'm listening.
JJ McCarthy is going to get the job, and he's going to be a high draft pick along with Drake May in 2024 with Williams from USC. Those are going to be 3 quarterbacks in 24.
Okay, wow, that's a lot.
2 last things, and I'll
keep going.
Okay. Jaden Ott, the running back from Cal. He looks like he's taking that job, true freshman. And I know you got some shares in him. I know this from me and you playing CTC. Antonio Williams and Clemson look good.
Even though Clemson did not look good to start.
No.
I love a lot of the things you said. There are 3 big names you missed. But you knew I was going to talk about them, so maybe that's why you missed them. Mitchell Tinsley. First game of the week, Thursday night. Now, I know you're not a big Penn State guy, but I do know you enjoy football. Mitchell Tinsley, transfer from Western Kentucky, out in Happy Valley now. This kid's going to eat. I said it in the last pod. Clifford's got the best all-around receiving core he's had in years. Everybody was catching the ball. Look, you saw what Brenton Strange did with less than a minute to go. Yeah, there's some missed tackles and some poor techniques there. It doesn't matter. Between Tinsley and that whole receiving core there, Saunders and all them, I just love what Penn State's going to do this year. But don't sleep on Mitchell Tinsley. I drafted him everywhere I could. By the way, C2C 3-0 this week, just so you know, on the college side. But so I love Tinsley. You saw Luther. I sent you the tweet. Luther's a bad man. And he's just getting started. I told you guys last week, go watch the game and come back to me. Come at me, guys, because watch Luther. Keep watching. Watch him when he's off the ball, too. You know, the blocking. He's just a good wide receiver, plain and simple. And then you already talked about Drake May. I got nothing more to add to that. It's a new Sam Howell. But who did I talk about in the last podcast? Tight end from Utah. Yes, Florida won the game. But did you see what my tight end did? My tight end's nasty. You got to go get yourself some of that Brent Kuth or Keith or whatever you want to call him. He's just big, sexy. He might be the new Michael Mayer because this kid will be the first tight end taken next year in the draft.
So I did not on purpose did do any Penn State because I know you and Junior were going to cover it. Tinsley looked good. Drew Arler looked better, to be honest with you. Okay,
I'm not gonna argue with that.
He probably should be the starting quarterback there. Okay,
that's what I said in the last podcast. He should give him the job or you redshirt him.
Man, his size, he's got NFL size today. The arm, he did show a little bit of the inaccuracy that he had coming out of high school, but hey, he's ready to go. Should be the starter.
Clifford's going to run the rest of the year, and Clifford didn't play as poorly as people. Twitter tried to burn him down. He didn't play that poorly, and he dropped back 34 or 35 times. You're going to have some things, but he won the game. He did what he needed to do. Yeah, that pick 6. Oh my goodness, dude! Almost broke the TV.
Horrible.
Almost broke the TV. Well, you know what I'm saying? They're going to make those mistakes. See, the thing with Clifford is, he's not Bryce Young. He's not CJ Stroud. If he even gets drafted next year, that's not. So I'm not expecting him to play at those levels. So when he makes those mistakes, I expect those. But if he can still win them games, he can still feed Tinsley the ball. I'm good with that. One note about that game, if I remember correctly, Devin Ford got 1 snap.
Yeah.
He's fallen there and he's missed that transfer window. That kid. There's 2 freshmen ahead of him now. Yo, that's just not looking good.
No. Hey, and we're going to talk about that game. I know it's probably not much NFL prospects there, but you can't leave that game without talking about Charlie Jones.
Go ahead, talk about Charlie Jones.
I mean,
you pick him up somewhere?
Man, we got waivers that run them all.
Yo, already got my claims in. But yeah, that's his. What are they? They
he had 12 catches, man.
On like 30 targets.
So there's always a role. There's always a role for a Ricky Prohl in the NFL, right?
Oh snap!
So could he be that? Maybe.
All right, guys, moving in here to what not impressed me at least for week 1 of the college football season. The entire LSU team. Me and my dad he can back me up on this, but we were expecting LSU to play a lot better than they did, and I don't know what's going on there. Kayshon Boutte didn't look like he wanted to play football. He was zoning out the entire game. The kid's head was down while he's crossing the goal line, not looking for the ball. Hits him right at his I don't know what's going on with him. I'm worried too. If it's the coaching staff, I can see it. Yeah, and I was really confused with the signing of Brian Kelly. It really never seemed like a good fit to me, and I don't think he has that locker room at all. I think Boutte's body language kind of showed that a lot, as you can see him right here. It's tough. Not a lot of NFL teams are going to want a diva in their room, and I'm not putting that diva tag on him yet because I want to see a couple more games played, but you can tell he was disinterested in playing against Florida State, and to be honest, that entire team didn't look good at all. The fact that it was even a close game just shows how LSU should have been the better team in that game, but I'm worried about Boutte. Hopefully he can come back these next couple games. Jaden Daniels, his stat line looks all right, but you can tell during the game he's not it. He runs the ball well, but too much. And if we're trying to get these wide receivers involved, I don't think it's a good fit for anybody. So yeah, I'm really disappointed in pretty much this entire LSU team. Moving on here, Phil Djerkovich. He was kind of a 23 QB that I don't even think we talked about on our last podcast, but he's a QB for Boston College, and he did not have a good game. They ended up playing Rutgers and losing outright. I think he had 2 interceptions. The kid did not look good at all. I was never really high on him for that 23 class, but not a good start to the season. Losing against Rutgers, that's bad. And then Devin Leary from Mississippi State. I was really excited to watch him. I'm hoping they would get him the ball a lot in space, but he's not I don't think he's the type of running back that you can give 20, 25 carries to during college. He can't really run it up the middle too well. You got to get him outside in space, and they really didn't do that. He didn't really get to showcase his speed at all. But Devin Leary did not have a good game. NC State's quarterback, Devin Leary, I think they played Eastern Carolina. Did not have a good game to me. A lot of people have been talking about him for this 23 class. I think Joe is a fan of him as well. I think I'm off on him. He just really didn't show me anything to, like, why are they even in a close game against Eastern Carolina? I don't know. He doesn't look like a ball player to me. And then for Ohio State, JSN obviously got injured. You can't really knock the kid for getting hurt. But I think it came out that it was a hamstring injury. Hopefully that doesn't linger for him for this season. But their offense did not look that great. CJ Stroud did not have a very good game. It looks like they have Trayvon Henderson on like a snap count. Like, it looks like they're splitting carries for him. He still looked really good in the carries they got, but I'm confused why they're kind of holding him back. And for Notre Dame, is Buckner it? I don't know. I know the kid's young, but it's tough to say. It looks like they almost ran like a kind of watered down offense for him. This is like kind of like one read or run the ball type, but I don't know. Buckner did not look great. They had a chance to pull that game out, I think, but Buckner really wasn't it. Michael Mayer had an all right game. He looked okay. He kind of flashed, but I was talking to my dad about this too. He looks a lot smaller than what I remember him being. I think they got him listed at about 6'4", 240 or so. But he really doesn't look as big and monstrous as I thought he would. Obviously, he's still a really good player, but I'm kind of questioning my Michael Mayer love a little bit. But That's kind of a few notes of things that did not impress me for week one. So let's hear what Joe and David want to talk about for what they didn't really like about week one.
I'll start here first, David. I only got three big ones. There were a lot more disappointments, but my biggest one was C.J. Stroud. I got people in my leagues crowning him as QB1 when I'm trying to tell everyone he's QB3 behind Levis and Young, but still. And I said the Notre Dame defense was a surprise, but if you telling me that you're competing for a national championship, you're the best quarterback coming out next year, you're trying to get to the Heisman, then I don't care how the defense is, you need to play better. His play was bad. I know you're going to say maybe it was JSN. Doesn't matter. If you're that quarterback, if you're that dude, you're going to overcome those obstacles. I just didn't think he looked good. And even he just looked like he was thrown off. And once he got shook, it was over. They won the game, sure. They're probably going to continue to win. He'll get better than that. But a week one alone, C.J. Stroud was a big disappointment for me. Blake Corum is a guy you could tell the difference. You mentioned it earlier about the NFL running back size and whatnot, but Donovan Edwards with the ball looked a lot better than Blake Corum with the ball. I was like, no. They're handing to the wrong guy. I want Edwards all day. And my last disappointment, which really hurt me, was Xavier Worthy. Texas, the kid dropped, Quinn Ewers dropped back, I want to say 24 times. This kid saw like 2-3 targets. Xavier Worthy had a terrible showing, and now to get Alabama on the schedule, something needs to click in these guys. They need to get it together because we've all been coming after Worthy. He's trying to move him up in our wide receiver rankings, but with Alabama on the horizon, and he has another showing like he did in week one, he's just going to be dropping and losing draft capital.
Yeah, I always question Worthy anyway because of the size. Don't get me wrong, he's dynamic, and I know the NFL's going to smaller receivers, but that's still a little bit of a flag for me. My disappointments, Phil Djerkovich. Man, I know that offensive line is bad, but come on, I know you're going to get hit a lot, but you can't throw those picks and Rutgers that you did to lose that game. I'll just go back on C.J. Stroud. I kind of agree. There was a couple passes. One of those passes to Emeka was definitely, if it was thrown and allowed for him to catch it in stride, was a touchdown. But the thing with Stroud that you're going to always keep back in your mind is he's just the it guy that makes those plays. Those two rollouts that he did when he was having pressure and threw that ball and was able to fit it right in there when the secondary was there and still made the play. Again, I'm not putting him over Anthony Richardson, right? Who's doing something like that?
I love it.
But yeah, Byron Cardwell, man, some hype for him at Oregon, right? Third running back on the depth chart. That's not a good look. And a freshman is the second one over you when you got already a year ahead, man. And man, Oregon, woo, Oregon. Yeah. I saw that game. About that? And as a Notre Dame fan, I was like, let that be the only blowout. Man, don't let that happen to Notre Dame against Ohio State. And I was like, 21-10, I'll take that, right? Man, that score was bad.
Well, tell me why Bo Nix is starting. I'm confused.
That's still a thing. That's still a thing in college, I guess, man.
That should have been Ty Thompson or something else. Yeah. But okay, sorry.
Butte, right? I think Juju's has mentioned this too. Let's relax a little bit, guys. Okay, he's still going to be a top wide receiver for me. I do have concerns though. I don't think he loves the coaching staff, and I see some motivation things possibly there because he doesn't love the coaching staff. I think he's going to get it this year. He may not, when it's all said and done with the play this year, the evaluations and the film and all that, he may not be wide receiver 1, but he's still going to be wide receiver 2 or 3. So whoever is listening to us that does C2C or Devi and someone's selling them that you can get them on the low, go buy them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But definitely a disappointment this week. Yeah. I got to do it to finish out for me. Tyler Buckner. Okay. We got to stop all off season. Devi's C2C people told me he's quarterback number 8. No. And again, I know it's his first career start against Ohio State at Ohio State, but there is nothing. I argue with my Notre Dame fans on my message boards all the time. Stop. There is nothing that jumps off the board with this kid. Okay. He's not an NFL prospect. He is probably a better version when it's all said and done, because he's not going to be what he was against OSU. He's going to progress to get better. He's going to be a better Ian Book and Jack Cohen. Okay. He's not an NFL quarterback.
Oh, wow. Bold.
All right, so just a couple quick final notes about week one. We're going to talk about some stuff that kind of surprised us. Some of the stuff we got to a little bit earlier, but we're just going to kind of get right into it. Does LSU stink? I put this label on Florida State last week to kind of mess with Joe a little bit, and also I was not really impressed with the Florida State team at all. But turns out LSU might stink, and they were playing Florida State, so I think that's a big thing to look for the rest of this season, kind of seeing how they bounce back, if they do at all. But they got a lot of big names on that offense. Their defense looked okay too, but LSU definitely needs to show me something to kind of turn this season around. Another thing, UNC overs are gold again. Like I said earlier, if you think about betting anything for the UNC game, take the over. If it's anything less than like 80, 85 points, you got to take it over. That defense is Swiss cheese. Not even Swiss cheese. It's just, if you were to eat the entire piece of cheese and then leave the wrapper there, that's what the UNC defense is. Just full of holes, but their offense is really good. Drake May's a player. I really like him a lot. And another guy we didn't really get to see much at all for week one was Rasheen Ali, the running back out of Marshall. I talked about him in my 23 part 2 write-up. If you guys didn't get to read that yet, tune in, allformats.net. You can read that. But he looks like he's taking a leave of absence from Marshall. Don't really know what's going on at all, but he didn't get to play at all in week one, so hopefully we get to see him in week 2. But like I said earlier, I think Georgia's a team to beat. They really impressed me. That defense is still really good. That offense is really good. Stetson Bennett, I don't know if he's an NFL prospect, but the kid can run an offense. They looked really good. I think, to me, Ohio State kind of went down a little bit in my rankings, and I think Georgia and Bama are the 1A, 1B again for this college football season. And I was watching the Clemson game. DJU put me to sleep, so I didn't get to watch the second half of the game. So it looks like they kind of came back and made that score line look a little bit better than what it was. But I wasn't impressed at all. Their defense is still as good as we expected it to be. They're going to have a lot of really good picks, but DJU is not it. I don't care what the stat line says. The only nice play he had was that touchdown run where he's eyeballing the kid going across the goal line. I think that was pretty cool. But I eyeball test, I don't think he's it. I really want to see Cade Klubnik play for them. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in what I saw from Clemson. They ended up pulling that game away against Georgia Tech. But yeah, those are a couple of things that kind of surprised me for week one. Let's see if Joe and David got anything to throw in before the end. There you go, guys.
I was surprised the most by the LSU special teams. I don't think I've ever seen a special teams that bad.
That was something else. And since that was Florida State, your boy Happy over here with that.
I mean, I never seen it. I think I would have went for 2 at the end of the game. My special teams already had a blocked field goal, 2 muff punts. But hey, I was very happy before BK. I was like, you keep doing what you're doing there, dog. I like it.
I hear it.
I like it.
One of my biggest surprises was the Notre Dame defense. I know this is a fantasy podcast, so I'll say that to say the Notre Dame defense, Marcus Freeman, I don't know what he injected in that water. Must have been that Michael secret sauce from Space Jam or whatever. But that defense, that first half, they were just strong. They shut down an entire NFL team, because that's what I thought Ohio State offense would look like. It was supposed to be a juggernaut and just run through them. So I think it's good. So I wanted to bring them up because that only was a surprise because what they did to Stroud, JSN went out hurt, things like that. Also, they got some quarterback, they got some fantasy players on that schedule that when they have that Notre Dame on the schedule, you might be leery of starting them in C2C because just how strong and stout the defense played, I think they stepped up. They had opportunities to win the game. We didn't expect them to win the game, but as close as they kept it and the way the defense played, not only should they be proud, I would be worried with starting my studs going forward against that defense.
So just one thing I want to add, and you know me, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I love hearing all that. That's music. That's definitely big time music to the ears, okay? But JSN did go out, right? So let's not crown them too soon, and we won't know for sure if it would have been a different story or not. But he did get knocked out early.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Another surprise for me, was Devin Leary and his struggles. Like I've been drafting this kid everywhere, and it was Eastern Carolina, the terrible Pirates. This is a game he should have showcased who he wanted to be. You want to get up there in the conversation with being one of the top quarterbacks or being a first round pick in the NFL next year. Yo, these schools that come into town that don't belong on your level, yo, run them out of the building. They couldn't do that. They had to get lucky to win that game. But I had his numbers here earlier. I lost him, but it just didn't look consistent, and he just did not look good.
Agreed. I was expecting to see a little bit more.
Any other surprises for you?
Blake Corum, but I was probably out on 5'8" Smurf guy anyway, right?
That's
too,
true.
Too small. But it's still fair to say a lot of people had a lot of hype for him, and he just didn't live up to expectations. So it's one game though, right? All of this is when we're speaking. This is all week one. Everything's going to change. He'll probably rebound pretty nicely, but I'm still, as I watch him, I don't see an NFL running back there.
Yeah, I can see that. I got two more things that surprised me during the week. Then I'll be quick with those. One was, I'll say that for last because that's your boy, Quinn Judkins, the freshman at Ole Miss. I was just surprised at the amount of snaps and carries he got. This is supposed to be the Zach Evans choo-choo train. This kid got 14 carries, in that game. Like he was, I forgot the number, but he got a significant snap share. It wasn't a blowout. I'm not saying they barely won, but it wasn't like, oh, he's got fourth quarter mop-up duty. This kid was in the first quarter. He's getting touches. He's making things happen. I'm looking for it. I drafted him everywhere. I like the kid coming in. I just didn't think he was going to supplant. And I'm not saying he has, but I just think I would see a lot from him this early on. But they're obviously going to work him into the offense. Feel comfortable running him out every week in the CDC league. I benched him everywhere because, all right, Zach Evans show, right? Nuh-uh. I'm going to start this kid every week. If he's going to continue to get snap shares like that, I think he had 14 carries, 84 yards, 64, whatever it was. He's going to continue to get better as the season goes on. Keep cutting into the Zach Evans workload. Watch out for Quinn Judkins.
Yeah.
And the last one, you got the most surprises? Because when I start talking about this last one, you're going to be talking for an hour.
No, I'm good with surprises. Go ahead.
So is Anthony Richardson.
We all know. Here we go. Now hold up.
Okay.
We go back to the off season. Okay. People were talking about Anthony Richardson, but I just want to point it out because people are jumping on that train already.
Yes.
And in a 2023 mock, before anybody said it, now of course people were talking about people liked him, but I said he'd be the first quarterback taken. And at least in my mock, and I said I foresee it being the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft. I said that, right?
You did. I'll even go find a clip and bring it up for everyone.
You full credit. You on Twitter now, and everybody's saying that. Like they're the first ones that said it.
They listen to the podcast. They listen to the All Formats podcast. Now they're gonna come over to the college podcast and get more data. I like it. But here's what surprised me about Richardson. It was the arm. I thought he was just gonna be another garbage looking poor man's Malik Willis, Cam Newton wannabe. But he actually tried to get the ball down the field. I think he was 7 of 10 on throws 10 yards or more in the air. I didn't think he could do that, but I didn't think he could do it with such accuracy. So I actually love the way he threw the ball, the way he tried to get to his receivers. There were some decent throws in there, even the incompletions. I'm not jumping on the train like you guys. I'm just, I'm not all for him as I was when you brought his name up. I still think he's a top. He'll be a top 4 or 5 QB coming in this class. I'm not putting him above my top 3 yet, but I can see him peeking around the corner, seeing what's up with CJ, seeing what's up with Bryce, seeing what's up with QB1 Will Levis. Oh, and that's the game of the week right there.
Yes,
Kentucky and Florida.
I was pointed out too.
QB1 and QB4. Let's go.
Yes. Hey man. Definitely go watch Anthony Richardson's film this past week, man. It's dynamic. His arm looked good. Yeah. I'm not going to go on too much because I love the kid. And I think
that's your boy. That's your best friend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like that. My one thing I got to give a shout out before we end this is I know you saw it. My boy Tank Bigsby is back.
Yes.
He had a bad year last year. Tank is back.
Yes, he is.
People laughed at me. I have him. Debbie, everyone's like, "Oh man, you should be traded. I should be Tank is back." I didn't want to throw him on here. I'm gonna save that one because when that Tank comes down, but Tank is back.
The jump cuts that he had for the touchdown.
Yo, you see, he's dropped like 20 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still a tank.
Here
we go. So, all right, well, that's it. As we wrap up week 1, things that surprised us, things impressed us, things that disappointed us. Week 2 podcast should be out here by the end of the week, but I can tell you, I'm already looking forward. I want to talk about Kentucky and Florida. I want to talk about Ajayi Hall could be back on the roster at Texas against Alabama this week. I'd love to see if that comes to fruition. But we got some games that I definitely want to talk about. And I want to see some bounce backs. Let me see what CJ Stroud's going to do. Let's see what LSU can do, because Florida State's defense was not that good. Now, their front 7 was good. That kid Verse, the JUCO transfer, is a monster. But, there's no reason Booty and these guys shouldn't have went off. So maybe they'll get their footing right and come back and play better.
A follow-up, one last question on my end, and I meant to bring it up to you. FSU guy, Jordan Travis. Is he CF? Is he just strictly CFF?
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
He'll you know what? He's Tyrod Taylor.
CFF.
That's who he is.
CFF then.
Yeah, it was great college numbers, career backup, get punctured in along or something. I don't know. Lose his job. But yeah, that's going to be, I think Tyrod Taylor is his ceiling, and which means he'll get some starts somewhere. He'll get a job somewhere. Maybe it's the style of play, and NFL loves things like that. But he's about to reach his ceiling, and it's going to be in college football.
Excellent. I lied. One last thing from me.
How many last things you got?
Listeners, go find out from ESPN's analyst coverage this weekend who RG3 is giving the color analyst for the game. That boy good. That boy got some wild takes.
What game did he do?
Michigan. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. He got some wild takes. He got some crazy end zone takes.
Yo, sometimes there's an orgy in the end zone. We saw it happens. These things happen. Yo, leave your boy alone. You're hating on him. He used to live in your backyard.
All right, everybody, and that brings us to the end of the episode 2, week 1 recap for the college format podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully this was pretty good, kind of like recap for you guys. If you missed out on a couple of games, you can kind of hear our quick thoughts about them, see if we thought players did good or if they did not do good. Keishawn Butte was one of those players I think did not do good. I'm not going to drop him down in my rankings yet, but we'll see. He definitely needs to show me something for the rest of the season. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Joe and David, for bringing your thoughts in as well. But yeah, tune in for the next one. There's probably going to be another podcast towards the end of this week. We're going to be talking about some of the matchups for week 2. So tune into that. That'll probably be up either Thursday or Friday. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and peace.